How does Google Ads generate responsive search ads? This is a question I get all the time, so I wanted to make a video just to kind of walk you through how this works exactly. So we've got an example account pulled up here where we're running some ads. The ads are actually doing pretty well. We spent like $2,200 and made $25,000. So let's take a look at what the concept of responsive search ads is that goes into this, because that's the type of ads that we're using for campaigns where we're getting results like this. So in general, the responsive search ads are an update from the regular text ads. And if you were to just do a search on Google, you would be able to see that there are a number of different elements that make up an ad. So there's a first headline, and then a separator, and then a second headline. So this is just some random ad that I'm showing here, but then it's followed by some descriptions. So two descriptions. This one's a little confusing. They maybe didn't do the best job running their ad. It looks like their descriptions maybe end right here, but maybe they continue. Anyways, these are generated through responsive search ads dynamically. So, back in the day when we would set ads up, we would say, all right, here's the variation of an ad, and you would actually write this entire ad out. And then you would give that to Google, and it would run that, and then you would create like 50 variations of this. Give all those to Google, and then Google would go and figure out what's the best performing ad. So that would all happen manually. Now, a responsive search ad just uses machine learning to automatically test different combinations to learn which high-performing ad combinations perform best for your audiences. So rather than manually going through and creating 50 of these that are slightly different, a slightly different headline but the same descriptions, and the slightly different descriptions with the same headline, and then changing the descriptions and changing the headlines, and then combining those in a bunch of different ways. Rather than doing all of that manually, responsive search ads just do that automatically for you. And so when you're in your Google Ads account, if you are in all campaigns, then you can click on a campaign. That'll take you to a page where you can then click on ads and assets and then go over to ads. And you'll be able to see if you are using responsive search ads or not under ad type. You may need to add or customize your columns. You can come here and modify your columns to add the ad type if you're not seeing it. But it should say responsive search ad. If you have some, we'll scroll down here, you can see some of these older ones are text ad, no longer available. So Google actually phased out the old style of expanded text ads and regular text ads in favor of these new responsive search ads. And that's because most people don't understand how to go through and create 50 variations, let alone of an ad, let alone one really good variation. So Google is finding that it works better on whole if they allow you to just enter some information and then they create all the variations themselves. So essentially nowadays, when you go to set up a Google ad, when you click on this plus button, you'll have the responsive search ads option here. There will be some different ad types that you can do, but of course we're talking about responsive search ads. If you just click on that option, it'll bring you to a page like this where you can actually set up your responsive search ads. So this is an example of one. There's some stuff blurred out, but just so you can sort of see how it's set up, you just put your URL, which is the website that you want the traffic to go to, as well as a bunch of variations of headlines, up to 15. So you can see we're using 13 out of 15. So the more of these you give it, the more variations it can test, essentially. And then you have to give it at least 2 descriptions, but it's better if you can give it 4, because again, then it has more variations to test. And then it's going to take those, and over here, it's going to give you a preview. You can kind of see how it's flipping through. I know this is blurred out for privacy issues, but you can see it's going to flip through all these variations and start showing you what your ad variations look like. So if what you're seeing over here in the preview does not look good, then you need to probably change some of these variations. But that's basically it. It's just going to take these combinations that you give it and then create variations and figure out what's working the best, rather than you manually entering set information for each ad. So here's what the headline's going to be, here's what the descriptions are, and then creating 50 variations of that and giving it to Google. You can now just do that in one quick swoop. So it actually makes it a little bit speedier to set things up, but it does give you a little less control over the ads that are shown, like the headlines that are shown. What you can do, though, is use the pin feature. So if you click, you can't see it because it's blurred out, but there's this little pin icon here where you can click, and it recommends that you don't pin it, which means that it can create unlimited variations. Or you can pin it into a position. So like, let's say there's a headline you want it to show up at the very first headline all the time. You can pin it, but that's going to be more like a text ad where you're manually telling it what to do. Because as soon as you pin one of these, it's going to reduce the amount of variations it can create by about 90% or thereabouts. So if you pin one of these, then the combinations it's able to create drops dramatically. Especially if you pin multiple of them. Then if you pin all of them, then it's basically like you just created a basic text ad. So if you wanted to create a text ad like you could back in the day, that would be one way of getting around things. The only downside, though, is that now you can only set up to 3, and this could change, so you might have to look at the exact numbers when you're watching this, but right now you can only have up to 3 responsive search ads per ad group. So if we come back here, essentially you can have 3 of these in an ad group, but if you set them up like they were text ads where there's no variations, you're only going to have 3 variations of ads, which is not a lot. So they've kind of made it such that we now need to use these responsive search ads if we want to advertise on Google Ads. And we need to use them in the way that they want it to be used, which is giving them tons of variations of titles and descriptions so that their algorithms can then use machine learning to figure out what's going to work best for your specific use case, right? So that's pretty much it. If there's anything you did have questions about in terms of how Google Ads generates responsive search ads or anything of that nature, don't hesitate to reach out. You can just drop your questions in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to get back to them there. Look, if you're the type of person that just doesn't even want to deal with Google Ads anymore, then you can always reach out to me. My company is Missoula SEO Geek. I'll leave a link to my website down below, but we do manage Google Ads for different companies in different industries, and you can come learn about what we do, what makes us unique. You can even read some of the testimonials from some businesses that we've taken from 0 to over $1 million in revenue, like this one here. And really just see that, this is the type of thing that's going to explode your business growth. So feel free to reach out. You can always give us a call or contact us through our website, and we'll look forward to working with you.